In this Madden Guides video breakdown, we show two zone blitz setups from the same play out of the nickel double mug. These setups bring pressure on a quarterback from either the A or B gap, depending on how you set them up. The X-Factor superstar player we use for this video breakdown is Houston Texans right defensive end Danielle Hunter. The zone defense that we use for this blitz setup is out of the nickel double mug, and it's called nickel to trap. And you're going to find it out of these playbooks. And for this video breakdown, we're going to use the Texans playbook. All right, I'm going to take a look at a couple substitutions that I'm going to make with the Texans to enhance this blitz setup I'm about to show. And the first one I want to do here, I'm going to go ahead and zoom in real quick, and so you guys can see this, exactly what I'm going to do here. And the guy I'm going to take out initially is Hunter. Now I'm just going to put another guy in there. I'm going to put Barnett there at the right end position. Then I want to work my way to the inside there. And then what I want to do is I want to put Hunter in at the weak side defensive tackle. So as you look at your screen here, you're going to see that I have him lined up right there as you look at it. So he's at the weak side defensive tackle. So there's something I want to do there. Let's go ahead and zoom back in again, because I've got another substitution that I want to make as well with this particular play as far as setting it up. So let's go back into it again. And then the other substitution that we're going to make is they've got Bullock up here, lined up here at this free safety. He's the number 2 on the depth chart. It's actually this guy right here, which is the number 1. I'm going to bring in a corner for him. Let's bring in this guy right here. And then I'm going to move him up here to the safety position. Again, you guys don't have to do all these subs. This is just what I'm going to do. Petra's going to go there, or Petra, I think that's how you pronounce it. And then I want to move to the inside here, and I'm going to bring Bullock into this spot right there. So there's my setup right here. As you look at it, I've got a faster safety. I think he's like a 90 or 91 speed, something like that. He's lined up there. So that's the reason that we're going to go with that. So let's go with that setup as you look at it. And that's what we're going to do for this video breakdown. So if you're following along, if you're using the Texans, you may want to try to set this up like this. If you got another team, I would suggest at least putting a fast defensive lineman at the weak side defensive tackle, and then putting a fast safety in at the right outside linebacker position, such as what you see on your screen there. All right, now I'm going to take a look at a couple of coaching adjustments that I like to make with this particular play I'm about to show here. And one of the things I'm going to do here is I'm going to keep auto flip off. And as far as auto alignment, I'm actually not going to adjust this. I'm going to go allow it to be default for now. Just keep in mind that if for some reason those linebackers are not lining up in the position in the double mug where they're supposed to be in the A gaps, then you might want to set that to base. But I like the fact that you can use the coverage shells here with this particular formation. That's going to allow you to try to fool your opponent. So that's the reason I want to leave this on default. As far as these other adjustments go, you can set these to whatever you want. The flats, I know again, a lot of you guys like to make these type of adjustments. I'm not going to make any at all. I'm just going to go with the default. Although, you know, if I was in the game, I'd probably change them. But at any rate, that's what we're going to go with as far as with the defensive coaching adjustments. All right, before we actually get to the blitz setup, let's take a look at the default pass coverages and pass rush assignments. With this particular defense, you're going to have 5 defenders that are actually rushing a quarterback by default. So those are your 5 right there. The one of note that I want to point out here is this guy here. This is going to be the nickel back, or if you had the safety by default lined up there, that would be him. And then as far as the coverages are concerned, you're going to have, basically, as you look at it, you're going to have 6 defenders actually dropping back into some type of zone coverage. So you got a couple defenders dropping into the hook zones as you look at it. So you got these 2 guys here doing hook zones. You got 1 defender out here towards your left as you look at drop into a soft squat. And then you got a curl flat defender on the right side of the screen as you look at it. He's over there as you look at it. And then you've got 2 defenders that are going to be dropping back up here into the deep zones. Now, as you look at this one, the coverages almost looks like cover 3. So if your opponent, obviously you can't see your play art if you're playing online, but if you look at it, these 2 safeties right here, as you look at the screen, I'm going to go ahead and zoom in on here real quick. You can see that you got 2 safeties here that are playing two deep coverage. Here's the free safety right there, but he's lined up in the middle. It looks like cover 3. And then you got this guy over here. He's playing the deep right side, and he's up a little bit closer to the line of scrimmage. So this almost looks like a cover 3 defense, even though it's not. So that's one of the cool things about that with this particular defense, is that you can make adjustments in those coverage shells to really try to confuse your opponent. All right, so what I want to do now is I want to go into the actual blitz setup. I'm going to show you two different ones. They're basically almost identical. One's going to get pressure coming from this guy right here, which is going to be the weak side defensive tackle. And then the other one, as I go ahead and clear the screen here, is going to come from this guy right here, which is that free safety that we put in this position here, where he's lined up into the A gap between the center and the left guard. All right, let's go ahead and take a look at the first setup here. And what we're going to do with this one is we're going to go ahead and blitz the linebackers, such as you see on your screen right there as you look at it. So we blitz the linebackers. The next thing we want to do is take control of the strong side defensive tackle. And then we're going to go ahead and put him into a vertical hook left, as you look at your screen right there. And then we want to switch off to the left end, and we're going to put him also in a vertical hook. He'll be towards the right as you look at your screen. Next, we want to stay in control of the left end. Now, the one thing I showed another one of those blitzes, I was holding down the right trigger before the snap. This blitz, you really don't have to do that. You can just be like this on the screen, and you should end up getting some pressure coming up the gut, either through the A or the B gap. I'll show you who it comes through here in a second as you watch this. So let's go ahead and run this, and then you'll see what I mean as far as with this particular defense. So right there, you can see it comes from the weak side defensive tackle. And that's where I was wanting to go ahead and put Hunter at, because of his speed is going to allow him to get to the quarterback pretty quick. Let's go into the X and O's in the play, and we'll take a look at that. From the top-down view and instant replay, we can take a look at the X and O's in the play and go a little bit deeper into the way this play works. And as you look at it, let's go ahead and talk about towards the right side of the offensive line and start over here and work our way towards the left this time. And first off, this guy right here, you're going to see that he kicks inside to block into this direction here. Generally, he's looking to block this guy right here, which is going to be this linebacker. Because we got to remember that these other two guys, as you look at it, this guy right here, which is going to be the strong side defense tackle, is going to drop into this hook zone here. And then the guy that we're in control of is going to drop over in this area here. Now, I know you guys are thinking one other thing. Another option you could do here is, with this particular play, I could have done something like this, where rather than dropping this defender into that hook zone and staying in control of him, I could have rushed the quarterback as well. I could have done something such as this and came over here. The problem with that is, if you do that, then you're only going to have 5 defenders dropping in zone coverage. So you almost have to have this guy dropping back into some type of coverage. You know, you could put him into a curl flat if it's a 3rd and long and you want to have him dropping further back. That's something you might want to do, but by default, I went ahead and put him in that vertical hook. I just want to point that out to you as I watch this. So as you go through this, and then you look, as I pointed out earlier, this guy's now down blocking towards the inside, looking to block into this direction here towards that linebacker. And then the same thing goes on here. If I zoom in a little bit here, this guy right here, this right guard, as you look at it, he's also looking to block to the inside. So you got both these guys, as you look at it, looking to block towards the inside here. All right. And then you also got the center. Now he's blocking this guy right here, that linebacker. You know, he's blocking the linebacker there. This guy right here, which is the left guard, is going to block this linebacker. And then over here, you've got the left tackle. He's going to block this in over here. Now, this is going to leave 2 guys that are going to get a free rush at the quarterback. First, you got this guy coming from the outside. This is that nickel back. So this is that trap where he's sending in, he's coming in. I would recommend putting somebody fast there, you know, if you can. You don't have to, but, you know, somebody fast if you want to. And then you got this guy right here, which is the one that, the one I was looking to get pressure with this particular setup, which is going to be the one of the top players that you're looking to go ahead and get pressure coming in from. So as you can look at your C here, he's going to get this pressure on the quarterback coming up the gut. So that's what you're really looking for with this particular play, is to get this setup right here as you look at it. So that's the first setup I want to show. Let's go back in here and rewind this just real quick here. And I want to show you guys just one other thing here as I zoom out here a little bit. And I kind of want to show you something with this setup that I'm showing here. Even though the pressure is pretty intense and it's pretty quick, you know, I don't want to tell you this is the best blitz out there. A lot of zone defenses obviously have holes. When you start sending 5 or 6 guys in, you really don't have a lot of coverage. In this case, this guy right here is wide open. I mean, your opponent could throw a quick pass and beat this blitz. So that's something you got to be aware of. I just want to point that out to you. Over here, it's not too bad. We've got these guys, I think, fairly covered decently. It's just that this guy's wide open for sure. So that's something you got to watch out for with this as you go through this. So he could have threw that ball and it would have been a big completion if he had caught it. But at any rate, that's something you got to watch out for. So I just wanted to point that out to you with this particular setup that I'm showing here. Let's go ahead and show you the setup 2 that I liked as far as the blitz goes with this particular defense. All right, I want to show you guys a second blitz setup. Before I do that, I want you guys to notice with the second blitz setup, you're not always going to guarantee to get pressure coming from this free safety. It may come from the weak side defensive tackle. It may come from the outside nickel back as well. He may the other 2 guys get blocked and just get the pressure from the outside. Somebody's going to get in for the most part. I just want to show that to you and verify that with you guys so you guys know what's going on here. That first setup should get it from either free safety or the weak side defensive tackle, the first one I showed you guys earlier. All right, let's go ahead and go into this one, and we're going to go ahead and shift the defense in pinch. So that's the first adjustment that we're going to change things up. You notice that it brings those corners and that nickel back down closer to the line of scrimmage. That nickel back's a lot closer now where he can get to the quarterback a little bit quicker than before. We'll blitz the linebackers, is what you see on your screen. We also want to go ahead and slant the defensive line to the outside, such as what you see on your screen. And then these guys don't change up at all. We're going to put this guy in a hook zone to the left, put this one to the right as you look at it. And there's your setup. Outside of this, we got to slide this guy over 1 notch. I want to hold down the right trigger this time before the snap. But I want you guys to go ahead and watch this blitz, and we'll see if we'll get some pressure from one of those inside guys. If not, we'll definitely get it from the nickel back from the outside. So let's go ahead and run this. Just take a look at it there. And there comes the safety as you look at it. So that's the setup that should apply to pressure. Like I said, it's not always going to come from that free safety. I don't want you guys to lock in on that too much because it may end up coming from, from the outside as well. Let's go into instant replay and take a look at this so we can look at the X and O's of the play a little bit closer as far as the blocking assignments go. From instant replay, we can now look at it from the top-down view and show you a little deeper as far as the X and O's of the play. Again, the pass blocking and assignments really don't change up too much. You got these guys all kicking inside the block. I'll show you what happens here in just a second. The one I want you guys to really pay attention is this guy right here, this left guard. He's going to look over here to block. He's going to go ahead and block that weak side defensive tackle. And then you're going to get this left tackle out here blocking this guy here, which is going to be this right end. Let's look at this as we go, and you can kind of see how the blocking goes here. Then the other thing I want to show here is the center. You got them looking to block this guy, and then you got these 2 guys looking to block inside, but really not blocking anybody. Remember, they should be blocking these 2 guys over here, but because those guys are dropping back, they slide inside. And then what happens here is the center blocks that other blitzer. And as I said earlier, as I zoom in here, this left guard, he kicks out and blocks here. And that's the reason that we slanted the defensive line to the outside here. That's the whole reason for that, is we want them to slide out to block those guys who are blitzing to the outside. And therefore, it should create a gap where the safety can shoot through this A gap and apply the pressure on the quarterback. Plus, hopefully this guy will get in as well from the outside. So you're going to get 2 points of attack on the quarterback, and hopefully somebody will get in pretty darn quick. Now, as I zoom back out, as I said before, the coverages don't really improve as per se, because again, this guy, as you look at it, and I pointed out earlier, this guy is wide open for a bullet pass. So that's the downside of this defense. So that's one of the things I wanted to show with this setup. You just really got to, use it when you need it, and hopefully you'll get some pressure and mix it in with some of those other zone defense. I've got one other thing I want to show real quick to show you some of these cover shells that you can mess with here, and maybe to be something you might, try to do to try to confuse your opponent. Last thing I want to show here is the shell coverages that you can use during this particular play, rather it be on the play call screen or actually once you get on the field. So as you look at here, I'm going to go ahead and zoom in real quick because I just want to show these to you guys. Right off the bat, you can see it's set to default, but the one thing you can do is you can actually adjust these to cover 0, cover 2, and cover 3. Now, because you already got cover 2 and cover 3, once you actually get on the field, I would set it to cover 0. Let's go ahead and look at this, and I'm going to show you what it's going to do once we get on the field here. And it might be something you might consider, messing around with just to, to see what you guys can do with it. So let's go back in here and get on the field and take a look at this real quick. with this particular formation in the setup I'm showing here. So right there, there's cover 0, right? That's what that looks like. Now, as I said earlier, you can adjust these to either show 2. You notice that the safeties and those corners actually get a little further out, and the safeties drop back. So that looks more like the cover 2 look. You could always reset it and go to this look. This is cover 3 if you wanted to, or we could have just pressed left on the right stick. Now look how that changes that up with that. So a lot of things you can do here to try to confuse your opponent. I just want to point that out to you, is that you can definitely use these type of things right here to try to confuse your opponent. You'll notice too, as I'm doing all this moving around, is that you got guys moving around. Look at that. When I do that and go to that cover 2, there goes that safety to the other side here as you look at it. Now that's going to screw up the blitz, and the blitz isn't going to maybe not work quite the same way, I guess. But at any rate, that's it right there. I just wanted to point that out to you, some different things you guys can do with this particular defense. So I want you guys to take some time, take a look at this one. It definitely can bring some pressure on the quarterback, rather it coming from the safety who's lined up the linebacker position. Obviously, if you keep a linebacker, it can be a linebacker, or it can come from that weak side defensive tackle who shoot through the B gap. So you're either going to get B gap or A gap pressure for the most part. If you don't get it from one of those two guys, you should end up getting it from the outside from the nickelback.